So, one of the things that many victims of abuse are not understanding about abuse dynamics, or really just like any dynamics of oppression, it's that whatever the other person is saying, whatever the abuser is saying, whatever the oppressive systems are saying, it's not about whether it's true. It's about having something to identify as a reason for why you're being treated the way that you are. Therefore, their actions are reasonable and justified. And so, when victims of abuse are in these systems, either family systems or let's say cultural or socioeconomic systems, they think, well, if I just fix the thing, if I just fix what this is, then I'll be accepted and people won't criticize me and I'll be a part of the community, let's say. I'll be a part of the family. And the problem is that that is not the problem. So you're trying to solve for the wrong issue. The thing is, when you are the identified target for some reason, they're looking for a reason. So let's say you're a victim of abuse and you are loud, confident, happy, ebullient, right? You're out there and you're thriving and you love life. They're gonna look at you and they're gonna say, "Why are you being so obnoxious?" So then you might go, "Okay, um, I will be, I will tamp it down. I'll keep it to myself. I'll be more reserved. I'll stop impeding on other people's, experience in life and I'll be quieter and not as, loud." And then you might get, "You think you're better than us. Why are you so quiet all the time?" It's like, does not matter. So if you can't believe what they say because they're an unreliable narrator. And as I've said in other videos, even if they might technically be correct, one, it is going to be distorted in a way to make you feel shame about yourself and that you should be doing something differently, which just happens to be what the abuser thinks that you should be doing. Or two, it's an interpretation, and it's an interpretation based on how they feel about you. So it's not factually like a fact one way or the other, but they've decided because of how they feel about you that you aren't fierce, awesome, or accurate. Feeling yourself, you are obnoxious, right? You could be doing the same things, and if they felt differently about you, they would categorize it in a different way. So you're being characterized based on their feelings, and they're using words that shape that narrative, but it's not about that narrative, it's about who you are to this person and their feelings. Or three, it can just flat out be incorrect. So, one of the real giveaways about whether or not someone even likes you or sees you as a human being is whether or not you're allowed to be happy, whether you're allowed to express joy, whether you're allowed to be yourself. The abuser often hates seeing a victim, the person they've targeted, as being beneath them in some way or being lesser than. They often hate seeing that person happy. And you will see a shame escalation so many times. Maybe something wonderful has happened that, you've accomplished. Maybe you're accomplishing something at work, or you're being recognized for work that you've done. Or it could be literally like a life stage. You're getting married or you're having children, and there's usually joy and celebration around that. Or any other iteration of a thing that you have joy about. So let's say you're into a specific fandom and a movie or a TV show or a book is coming out and you're so excited. They will come in with the joy killing comments and remarks to make you feel shame about yourself. That either you didn't deserve whatever's happening, or that you are wrong or shameful in some way, deficient. It's all about making you internalize their feeling toward you, giving you a reason that allegedly justifies it but doesn't. And so then victims of abuse, they take it in and they take it personally. The abuser is showing you a voodoo doll of who you are, of who you are, and they want you to agree that this is who you are, so that then when they attack the voodoo doll, you take it personally. And I got to tell you, one of the best things that can help a victim of abuse recognize that these things are not true, even if you don't say it to the abuser, because again, the more information you give them, the more they can leverage it against you. So often this should be happening in your own mind as a way to kind of protect who you truly are. But you are going to be in your mind, you know, when I became a parent, it becomes so clear how your child is having their big feelings, and they are valid feelings. They don't often have anything to do with you. You know, you cut the PB&J in the wrong way, or you left the crust on, or you didn't let them help and they wanted to help even though they never help, or they wanted to do a thing but they didn't tell you about it. So when you have little kids, they often have very big feelings. And as a parent, you're aware that these feelings, while valid, are not like particularly reasonable, and you don't take them personally, other than to care about how your child feels. You're not like, oh, I did something wrong here, because you didn't often. And so there's this distance between this person's feelings and ideas and thoughts and beliefs from your own, and you don't take it in personally. And so whenever I'm talking to victims of abuse, the idea that I'm wanting to give them is essentially they can have their feelings. They're stupid feelings a lot of it. I'm like, hey, you can have your stupid feelings. That has nothing to do with me. And I'll give you an example. So when I started dating my son's father, which is a whole other thing, but when I started dating him, his roommate did not like me. And so she was in her big feelings about that. And so I looked at her, this woman who was like 10 years older than me, and I was like, okay, you don't have to like me. How do we want to handle this? And she could not mentally process the fact that I did not care about her emotional state, that her dislike of me I didn't care. It was not relevant to me in any way, shape, or form. Um, I was staying focused on, okay, well, what do we want to execute? Because in reality, I didn't know this person. She doesn't know me. She's got an opinion based off nothing having to do with me. There's no reason for me to take this in. So it's very easy with a stranger to do this. It's when we give these people access, the benefit of the doubt, we think they love us, we think they like us, we think they care about us, and so a lot of child victims of abuse have grown up in these abuse dynamics, and they become an adult and they've been chasing a parent's love and validation their entire lives, and they've never gotten it until finally you realize one day, oh, it's just literally nothing. Not one thing that I can do, not ever. So it's when you're in the abuse dynamic, this does get harder to do. But essentially, you reach an understanding and a point where you go, oh, this is what I'm dealing with. Okay, they don't have to like me. They don't have to see the world the way I see the world. They just have to mind their business and not abuse their power over me. And I think a lot of people really struggle when they dislike something to have a separation between them and the thing they dislike. They assume that if they dislike something, it means there's something wrong with it. And it doesn't. So let's say you have a parent who's got two children, one of whom is a difficult child and they don't like them. And one of them is the easy child and they like that child a lot better. And I've actually done a video on this where sometimes these dynamics start so early. And so this baby might be having digestive issues, sensitive stomach, something's wrong medically. And so they don't sleep and they're fussy and crying a lot, and you're sleep deprived. And so like, let's say you have one child that is not causing you any extra anything and the other one's taking a lot of attention. You may decide to not decide. You may get to a place where you do not like this child and it's not even their fault. And it's hard to separate that. And so I think the less emotionally mature and the less self-aware a parent is, the more you can just assume, oh, well, this is the bad kid. I have a good kid and I have a bad kid. And then that narrative kind of takes over the family and justifies a lot of abuse as this other child is growing up. So when somebody you can not like a thing but it's not personal. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with it. I'll give you a perfect example. Actually, I saw this earlier and I was like, oh, this is so good. There's this woman, she is a clearly classically trained, amazing pianist who is doing incredible work on a concert stage, just impeccable pianist. She happens to be, however, having a fashion moment while she performs. And there was this one woman in the comments who was like, there's something about this I don't like. I can't really put my finger on it. And my impression of that was that she didn't like it for her own personal reasons, valid or not. I mean, I'm not making a statement one way or the other, but was hoping that people with a more informed opinion could give her a legitimate reason that she could dislike this particular performance because she wasn't able to come up with one on her own. And it was like, my friend, you can just not like this. You could find this bombastic or attention seeking. That means it's not for you, and that's okay. And other people who do like it are going to find it to be, expressive and fierce and interesting, right? The same thing, the same person, the same activity and action can be read positively or negatively depending on the person perceiving it. So it's probably like Schrodinger's attention seeking, I guess. Okay, so this is the video of the woman, right? Oh, I don't know if you can see it. She's playing the bananas out of this piano. She's wearing this incredible dress, and she's absolutely technically proficient and a boss. And it was just so clear to me. I mean, it's got the low, but well, you can't see. I gotta learn how to share a screen. Anyway, so for many people in the comments, they were just like, "Oh yes, bring this energy. I'm here to see it," And then there were people in the comments who were like, "Well, I don't think this is appropriate," right? Same person. So if you have somebody who thinks a negative thing, or they don't like a thing, or you're the person who thinks a negative thing or doesn't like a thing, that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It just means it's not for you. And I feel like the better victims of abuse can really internalize this understanding, the less they start to believe that the voodoo doll is who they are. Anyway, I hope this makes sense, and I'll talk to you next time.